All right, today we're going to talk about which startup accelerators are accepting applications at the moment. Now, I was fortunate enough to be both a board member and the managing director of a top startup accelerator in my state. And it was right around 5 years that I was able to do that, both as a board member and then later, when our managing director left, I took over that role. That particular accelerator supported mostly life science startups. So think about biotech companies and those types of things. But we also supported other startups and other industries that wanted to participate. Now, there's a variety of benefits that startup accelerators offer. The particular accelerator that I led, Fairview Technology Center, supported startups by offering them what you would call low cost or subsidized rent. So, for example, in my area, the going rate on office space, not industrial warehouse style space, but office space would be somewhere around $18 a square foot annualized. And the going rate in Fairview Technology Center was only $5 a square foot annualized. So you can imagine startups that needed physical space could operate in a remote world. So that's why it works so good for science-based. That was a third of the cost they would pay somewhere else. So they really fought to get into our accelerator. On top of this low cost rent, we also gave them access to the board of advisors. Myself included people that had expertise in accounting and finance, venture capital, marketing, all that kind of stuff that could really help them. All of that was in exchange for zero equity in the startup. Now, most of the other well-known accelerators that you might be thinking of, some that I'm going to mention here in a minute, tend to offer funding, but they take equity in your startup in exchange. So that can still work out really well for you. So if you're considering applying to an accelerator or you've thought about doing it in the past, here are some of the ones that I have found that are currently accepting applications. And then also in the description, I'm going to give you a link to a nice list I found that covers a whole lot other startup accelerators that are currently accepting applications. So one of the more well-known ones, Techstars. And I'm going to cover a couple of things within each of these and be consistent with when I talk about them. So we're going to talk about the startup stage that they support, the amount they invest, how long the program is in terms of months, who the sponsors are, if they're particular sponsors, and the application deadline. Okay. So Techstars, really well-known startup accelerator. They support startups at various stages. Most startups accelerators are seed stage and Series A. It looks like Techstars will actually go a little bit beyond that. According to the website, they invest up to $400,000 with a lot of other benefits that add up to even more money. The program is roughly 3 months long. It's sponsored by JP Morgan Chase, and the current deadline is June 1st. So today is the 25th. So you do not have a lot of time to apply to that one. In some of the other ones I'm going to talk about are also in June. One you may not have heard of, a startup accelerator called Hyper. They invest at the seed and Series A range. The amount they invest is $300,000. The program is roughly 1 month long, and it's sponsored by some pretty big names. So it's sponsored by both Sequoia and Andreessen Horowitz, which are really well-known venture capital firms. Their deadline is June 8th. So you've got a little bit more time than Techstars, but you need to get that application in. Another one you may not have heard of, Financial Venture Studio. Same thing as Hyper, Series A and Seed. I could not find any reference to how much they invest, but I did find that the program is 6 months long, so it's quite a bit longer. I didn't on the website see any reference to particular sponsors that they work with and those types of things. Their deadline is June 12th. One more, this time another fairly well-known startup accelerator. This is 500 startups. The amount they invest is $150K. The program is 4 months long. And here's the kicker. It's a rolling open application. Let me repeat that. It's a rolling open application. It's hard to say anyway, so I should have repeated it. What does that mean? That means that applications are open 365 days a year. Now, the way this works is the reason applications are gathered is because almost every one of these accelerators forms their applicants into what's called a cohort, okay? And cohorts are basically just groups of startups that go through the program together at the same time. So if the program's 4 months long, like 500 startups, you would all start on a date together and you would go through the program together, just like you would in college, right? You're in a class together, You all go through that class together for however long that class is. Same kind of idea. So some of the startup accelerators that are open, sorry, got to pop up, got to be candid with you. Had to pop up and it distracted me. So some accelerators listed, a couple that you may not know, a couple that you probably will recognize if you're interested in the startup space, particularly Techstars and 500 startups. What I did not cover is things like if they look for startups in particular industries, you're going to need to do your own research there. So not every startup and incubator, accelerator and incubator will take open enrollment, meaning you can be in any industry. Some of them focus on fintech. Some of them focus on biotech. Some of them focus on martech, marketing tech, those types of things. You're going to need to do your own research there. As I said, one more time to reiterate, I'm going to put a list that I found on a site from Gust, a list, a URL that has a longer list of other accelerators that you can participate in. I think being part of an accelerator can be very beneficial. You need to realize what you're giving up in exchange, especially if you're having to give up equity in your business, but a lot of times it's worth it. You get funding. On top of that, you're getting exposure to investors and mentors and all these things. So it's a really great thing to think about, a really great way to kind of kickstart your startup once you are moving along. If you're just at the ideation stage, meaning all you really have is an idea on paper, you haven't done a lot, you don't have a prototype, you don't have the wireframes of your software, none of that type of stuff. If it's really just an idea, you're really not ready for an accelerator. And that's kind of the distinction. Accelerator takes what's already there and speeds it up. An incubator brings things from the new. So if you're more at the incubation level, you may want to think about my course, The Business Launch Formula. I'll put a link to it as well. In that course, I walk you through the exact process I have used in launching my 3 startups, all 3 of which actually that won me awards, first mover awards, and one that ended with members in 45 different countries. So I'll put a link to that course if that's something you want to try. It's less than $20 to take. And again, it walks you through my exact process I use to get a business from idea out of my head onto paper and rolling along with some milestones. So hope you find that helpful. If you're looking to apply, get those applications going. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Put some comments below. Be sure to subscribe if you're not already subscribing to my videos. That way you get them delivered directly to your inbox. Hope you guys have a great day. Take care.